Hello, everyone. Here we are. We're going to get going with Ezekiel 9. Let's do this. If we remember, Ezekiel 8 was God taking Ezekiel into the temple and showing him the idolatry that was going on behind closed doors, okay? Starting with that hole in the wall that when Ezekiel dug into it, it opened to a door, okay? And then he could see all the creepy crawly things carved into the wall, painted all over the wall, that they were worshiping, okay? Here we go. Then I heard him call out in a loud voice. That would be the Lord, and this would be Ezekiel speaking. Bring near those who are appointed to execute judgment on the city, each with a weapon in his hand. Uh-oh. And I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a writing kit at his side. They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Remember, this is in the temple, okay? Now, the glory of the God of Israel went up from above the cherubim, which you remember are a type of angel, where it had been, and moved to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen who had the writing kit at his side and said to him, Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament, meaning mourn, moan, over all the detestable things that are done in it. In other words, these would be the righteous people. As I listened, he said to the others, Follow him through the city and kill without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter the old men, the young men and women, the mothers and children. Don't touch anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the old men who were in front of the temple. Now, if you remember in Revelation, there's a mark put in the foreheads of those that are consecrated to God and who will be attaining heaven. So this is God's style, okay? He marks us in our forehead if we're slated to go home to heaven and be with him. Then he said to them, Defile the temple, fill the courts with the slain, go. So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing and I was left alone, I fell face down, crying out, Alas, sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem? He answered me, The sin of the people of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say, The Lord has forsaken the land. The Lord doesn't see. Remember we talked about that last night? The Lord sees and he cares. Okay, let's never, ever apply blindness and not caring to the Lord. Let's not ever assign that to him. This is his creation. He cares about it. So I will not look on them with pity or spare them, but I'll bring down on their heads what they have done. Then the man in linen with the writing kit at his side brought back words saying, I've done as you commanded. Ezekiel 10. I looked and I saw the likeness of a throne of lapis lazuli above the vault that was over the heads of the cherubim. Okay, this is right back to the first vision that he had. He's seeing the same thing. The Lord said to the man clothed in linen, Go in among the wheels beneath the cherubim. Fill your hands with burning coals from among the cherubim and scatter them over the city. And as I watched, he went in. Now the cherubim were standing on the south side of the temple when the man went in, and a cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord rose from above the cherubim and moved to the threshold of the temple. The cloud filled the temple, and the court was full of the radiance of the glory of the Lord. The sound of the wings of the cherubim could be heard as far away as the outer court, like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks. When the Lord commanded the man in linen, Take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim, the man went in and stood beside a wheel. Then one of the cherubim reached out his hand to the fire that was among them. He took up some of it and put it into the hands of the man in linen, who took it and went out. Can you imagine seeing this? Under the wings of the cherubim could be seen what looked like human hands. This is a mystery, folks. I looked and I saw beside the cherubim 4 wheels, one beside each of the cherubim. The wheels sparkled like topaz. As for their appearance, the 4 of them looked alike. Each was like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the cherubim faced. The wheels didn't turn about as the cherubim went. The cherubim went in whatever direction the head faced without turning as they went. Their entire bodies, including their backs, their hands, and their wings, were completely full of eyes, as were their 4 wheels. Gosh, that's scary. Last time in his first vision, he saw the eyes and the wheels. Now it's all over all of them. I heard the wheels being called the whirring wheels, whirring as in WHIRRING, the whirring wheels. Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub, the second, the face of a human being, the third, the face of a lion, and the fourth, the face of an eagle. So no ox face this time. Then the cherubim rose upward. These were the living creatures I'd seen by the Kibar River. When the cherubim moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels didn't leave their side. When the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in them, was in the wheels. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim. While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground, and as they went, the wheels went with them. They stopped at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the Lord of Israel was above them. So let's try to picture this, okay? Because I have a feeling that words are not enough in this, and Ezekiel's doing his best. Okay, I'm not trying to add anything to it, but let's just try to figure this out. There's four-faced creatures. So there's a face here, a face there, a face there, and a face in the back. And their wings all touch each other. So I don't know if their backs are to each other or if they're side by side, but there's 4 wheels all around, okay? And wherever the cherubim decide to go, these angels, the wheels do exactly that. Up, down, side to side they go. And above this contraption, if you will, this angelic contraption with eyes everywhere, is a vault. Now, the sky, if you remember in Genesis, was a vault. So there's some kind of a vault over them, and over the vault is the Lord on his throne of lapis lazuli. And this whole thing is moving. Okay. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim. While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground, and as they went, the wheels went with them. They stopped at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them. These were the living creatures I'd seen beneath the God of Israel by the Kibar River, and I realized that they were cherubim. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Remember, 2 wings go up, 2 wings go down over their bodies, and underneath those wings were what appeared to be human hands. And under their wings was what looked like human hands. Their faces had the same appearance as those I'd seen by the Kibar River. Each one went straight ahead. So I don't know how that would be if they were in a, back to back, like in a square facing outwards, and they're all going straight ahead, or if they are in a line with their feathers touching. I don't get the configuration. I might be able to find a picture of what somebody thinks, and if I do, I'll put it up. Ezekiel 11. Then the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the gate of the house of the Lord that faces east. There, at the entrance of the gate, were 25 men, and I saw among them Jazaniah, son of Azer, and Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, leaders of the people. The Lord said to me, Son of man, these are the men who are plotting evil and giving wicked advice in this city. They say, haven't our houses been recently rebuilt? The city is a pot and we're the meat in it. Therefore prophesy against them. Prophesy, Son of man. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on me, and he told me to say, this is what the Lord says. That is what you are saying, you leaders in Israel, but I know what's going through your mind. You've killed many people in this city and filled its streets with the dead. That's interesting. These guys are supposed to be priests. They're at the entrance with 25 men. Okay, I mean, this is Jazaniah, son of Azer, and I believe that's the same, or no, it was Jazaniah, son of Shaphan, who was doing creepy things behind the wall. This is Jazaniah, son of Azer. So apparently these people are slandering, gossiping. They're doing things that are killing people. They could be sacrificing. Who knows what they're doing? But the Lord is saying, I know what's going through your mind. You've killed many people in this city and filled its streets with the dead. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. The bodies you've thrown there are the meat, and this city is the pot. But I'll drive you out of it. You fear the sword, and the sword is what I'll bring against you, declares the sovereign Lord. I'll drive you out of the city and deliver you into the hands of foreigners and inflict punishment on you. You will fall by the sword, and I'll execute judgment on you at the borders of Israel. Then you'll know that I am the Lord. This city will not be a pot for you, nor will you be the meat in it. I'll execute judgment on you at the borders of Israel. So they're basically being cast out. And you'll know that I'm the Lord, for you've not followed my decrees or kept my laws, but have conformed to the standards of the nations around you. Child sacrifice. Now, as I was prophesying, Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, died. Then I fell face down and cried out in a loud voice, Alas, sovereign Lord, will you completely destroy the remnant of Israel? The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, the people of Jerusalem have said of your fellow exiles and all the other Israelites, they're far away from the Lord. This land will be given to us as a possession. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Although I sent them far away among the nations and scattered them among the countries, yet for a little while I've been a sanctuary for them in the countries where they've gone. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I'll gather you from the nations and bring you back from the countries where you've been scattered, and I'll give you back the land of Israel again. They'll return to it and remove all its vile images and detestable idols. I'll give them an undivided heart and put a new spirit in them. I'll remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Then they'll follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. They will be my people and I will be their God. But as for those whose hearts are devoted to their vile images and detestable idols, I'll bring down on their own heads what they have done, declares the sovereign Lord. Then the cherubim with the wheels beside them spread their wings, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them. The glory of the Lord went up from within the city and stopped above the mountain east of it. The Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the exiles in Babylonia in the vision given by the Spirit of God. Then the vision I had seen went up from me, and I told the exiles everything the Lord had shown me. All right, Ezekiel 12, and this will be our last one. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, you are living among a rebellious people. They have eyes to see, but do not see, and ears to hear, but do not hear, for they are a rebellious people. Therefore, son of man, pack your belongings for exile, and in the daytime as they watch, set out and go from where you are to another place. Perhaps they'll understand, though they are a rebellious people. During the daytime, while they watch, bring out your belongings packed for exile. Then in the evening, while they're watching, go out like those who go into exile. While they watch, dig through the wall and take your belongings out through it. Put them on your shoulder as they're watching and carry them out at dusk. Cover your face so that you can't see the land, for I've made you a sign to the Israelites. So I did as I was commanded. During the day, I brought out my things packed for exile. Then in the evening, I dug through the wall with my hands. This would be the wall around Jerusalem. I took my belongings out at dusk, carrying them on my shoulders while they watched. In the morning, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, did not the Israelites, that rebellious people, ask you, what are you doing? Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. This prophecy concerns the prince in Jerusalem and all the Israelites who are there. Say to them, I am a sign to you. As I have done, so it will be done to them. They will go into exile as captives. The prince among them will put his things on his shoulder at dusk and leave, and a hole will be dug in the wall for him to go through. He will cover his face so that he can't see the land. I will spread my net for him, and he'll be caught in my snare. I will bring him to Babylonia, the land of the Chaldeans, but he will not see it, and there he will die. I will scatter to the winds all those around him, his staff and all his troops, and I'll pursue them with drawn sword. They'll know that I'm the Lord when I disperse them among the nations and scatter them through the countries. But I will spare a few of them from the sword, famine, and plague, so that in the nations where they go, they may acknowledge all their detestable practices. Then they'll know I'm the Lord. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, tremble as you eat your food, and shudder in fear as you drink your water. Say to the people of the land, this is what the sovereign Lord says about those living in Jerusalem and in the land of Israel. They'll eat their food in anxiety and drink their water in despair, for their land will be stripped of everything in it because of the violence of all who live there. The inhabited towns will be laid waste and the land will be desolate. Then you will know that I am the Lord. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, what is this proverb you have in the land of Israel? The days go by and every vision comes to nothing. That's kind of a creepy proverb, and it's kind of insulting to the Lord, isn't it? The days go by and every vision comes to nothing. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm going to put an end to this proverb, and they'll no longer quote it in Israel. Say to them, the days are near when every vision will be fulfilled. For there will be no more false visions or flattering divinations among the people of Israel, but I, the Lord, will speak what I will, and it shall be fulfilled without delay. For in your days, you rebellious people, I will fulfill whatever I say, declares the sovereign Lord. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, the Israelites are saying, the vision he sees is for many years from now, and he prophesies about the distant future. The word, therefore say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. None of my words will be delayed any longer. Whatever I say will be fulfilled, declares the sovereign Lord. Boy, I wonder if that's for today, honestly. I want to look up one thing, and that is this talk of this prince. So I'm going to go to Enduring Word, and I'm going to go to Ezekiel 12, and it says 2 signs, warning of judgment. Okay, it says the command to act out captivity. All right, it says prepare your belongings for captivity, dig through the wall in their sight. It says God asked Ezekiel to act out many prophetic messages so that both his words and his actions would communicate God's warning. Each time Ezekiel did as he was commanded. Ezekiel was a very brilliant man, but I think he also had a real sense of humor. I'd love to have seen his face when he went through some of these mechanics, meaning doing these things. That is a funny idea to think of him, packing the bag, walking out this picture in front of them and then digging through the wall, tossing his belongings through it or whatever. As though going into captivity, he became a living lesson to his fellow exiles in Babylon and perhaps to those in Judah who would hear of his strange actions and what those actions meant. And then it says, Ezekiel's strange actions invited the question, what are you doing? And that was the whole purpose for an exiled man acting as if he were going into exile all over again. All right. Their eyes had seen plainly enough what he had done. All right, it says the prince specifically was Zedekiah. And we've heard about Zedekiah. He ended up getting killed because he ran through the garden gate. You know, and I marvel over this, that the Lord said Jerusalem's going to be burned to the ground. And then he went to Zedekiah and said, if you just submit to the yoke of the Babylonians, Jerusalem will not be burned to the ground. But then he went right back to saying it's going to be burned to the ground because he already knew that Zedekiah wasn't going to submit to the yoke, and then he was going to run out through the king's garden and run towards Jericho. And he was caught and killed. Okay, so it's funny. It's like the Lord gives a chance, but he already knows what's going to happen. And so he's able to say it, to speak it. So we know the prince is Zedekiah. The subject of the message was King Zedekiah, who was always spoken of by Ezekiel as prince, never king. Jehoiachin was regarded as the true king it says in ration tablets found by archaeologists in Babylon, Jehoiachin was still referred to as the king of Judah. Okay, so we get that. I love you very much, and tomorrow we will pick it up with Ezekiel 13, and we're seeing at the end of this that the Lord is saying, look, you know, you've been saying that what I say, you know, all those visions are never going to come true, and I'm going to bring it now. And I'm wondering, you know, if this is the time, because there's even Christians who are saying, oh, you know, we've always seen days like this. It's not the end. It's not the end. But there's so many prophecies fulfilled right now, and the writing in my mind is really on the wall. Now, how long does it take to get to the end? I don't know. 5 years, 2 months, 50 years? I don't know. But I know we've never seen anything like this. But, you know, that's due to my maturity in the Lord. The person who keeps saying to me, oh, you know, this is nothing, is a very young Christian. So, I don't know. We'll see. You know, maybe in the newness of Christianity, maybe he speaks aright. I don't know. I love you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll pick it up at Ezekiel 13. Good night.